Okay, let's begin. So exactly 7 o'clock, we are in business. Okay, so the business today is about fish and coral relationship. Let me make it big. Let me see if you can see it. Okay, you guys can see?
Yes, perfect.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So a lot of people did not understand the relationship between the fish and the coral, especially when they are doing coral rehabilitation, for example. Okay, so I'm going to point out, because fish and coral relationship, this subject have 9 chapters. I'm going to only talk about this chapter, because this chapter is chapter 1 about fish in the coral ecology course. So I'm going to introduce so that people would see what are the content of the ecology course. Because when we say coral reef ecology means it includes the fishes, the invertebrates, the sponges, the marine plants, the seawater, the microbes, and of course the coral, right? So this is more or less like an introduction. This presentation is part of the Coral Ecology Training Program, introducing the critical role of reef fishes as ecological drivers, and that how it sustains function and resilience of coral ecosystem depend on it. Okay. Among the reef fishes, the most common one and the most ignored is the damselfish. The damselfish is everywhere and people take no notice of it at all. But it is the most, I can say, of all fishes in the coral reef, the damsels are the closest to the coral reef. Yeah, because they live in it, they live around it, they live everywhere, and they contribute to a lot of ecological benefits to the coral. So when we think about coral reef, our attention is often drawn to the coral themselves, the architect of one of the most biodiverse ecosystem. Yet the coral reef is much more than a collection of coral. It is a living community where countless organisms have evolved intricate relationship that enable the ecosystem to thrive. Among the most visible is the fishes, and particularly the damselfish, as you can see in the background. Okay? And the damselfish, there are nearly about between 350 to 400 recognized species of damsel, and among the most abundant and diverse fish families found in the tropical coral reef. Their brilliant colors, territorial behavior, and close association with corals make them excellent ambassadors that we need to understand how their intimate relationship with the coral habitat. Okay? So, without further ado, let's move on. The first thing we need to understand is ecological niches and the ecosystem services. All this little guy I put here, I line them up, has a role to play. Okay, has a role to play. The first, let me find the marker pen. highlighter, maybe blue. Okay. The first one, let's call it chromis. It does not live inside the coral reef that much. It uses the coral reef as a protection, but most of the time it occupies the open water outside or above the coral reef. Yeah, they are brilliant and shiny in color, has a purpose. Their role is mainly to attract predatory fishes. Okay, so by attracting predatory fish, they directly and indirectly bring more biomass from the open ocean into the coral reef, because barracudas and trevallies that hunt them will come to the coral reef and contribute more or less the biomass into the reef environment, right? So, and then we have the general workers here, the guy who use the reef, but also venture out of the reef to find food. And he is an omnivore. He eats everything, including bread if you feed them. They are universal. They occupy the upper layers of the coral reef. So when I said layers, we will come to the next slide later where we will discuss partitioning of the habitat, okay? And then there's another guy called Stegastes. He's the farmer. He's the farmer of the sea. He stays between the coral reef and the coral rubble. He stays there and he grows algae. He grows algae. His job is growing algae. The algae, the kind of algae that is important for the coral reef because it filters out nitrogenous compound, phosphorus, ammonia, and also its waste will fertilize not only the plant that they are growing, they also provide nutrient for the zooxanthella in the coral reef. Okay, remember zooxanthella is a plant and it needs fertilizer. Fertilizer is food for them. The bulk of waste from these little fishes, all of them, yeah. Yes, they are small, almost insignificant for their waste, but collectively, their numbers, they contribute a lot to the nutrient. And that is about nutrient cycling of the coral reef is triggered or initiated by a damsel called Stegastes. Okay, so the planktivore, the first one, it transfers energy. It brings more biomass into the, so by taking from the open ocean into the coral reef food web, it supports predatory functions in the reef as well to control the population of all the other ones as well. So to bring services as population control, it needs to attract predators. Yeah. So, and then we have alga, this guy here. So he plays two roles here. He not only grazes on algae, he farms the algae. Sometimes when you are on the coral reef, you see this fish was sliding itself onto the rock and wiggling its tail onto the rock. It is literally fertilizing the rocks with its urine or excretion. Then excretion will promote algal growth And that alga patches will be protected by him. Okay, we will see some videos later. And then we have the other guy who a recycler. He lives in the sandy patches adjacent to the coral reef. This area, the sandy plateau, are high in bacteria and microbes and microbial communities, and he turns over the sand and he excrete on it, he feed on it, and then he promotes those little organisms to grow with him so that they can provide decomposition processes around the coral reef, surrounding the coral reef. Okay? Then they also build nests, most of them. They build nests inside the rubble, in between the branches, under the coral, and that maintains water circulation as they go in and out, and then it maintains habitat for many other organisms as well. So all of them do that in different places. We will talk about it in the next slide. And then we have the one that is unique, which is the amphitryon or the clownfish. He lives in a sea anemone, and he are providing services to only one type of coral, which is the sea anemone that is hosting him. Okay, so he's not generalized like the Stegastes or the surgeon major. He lives and he maintains where he lives. So is the other one, the golden damsel. He lives around Gorgonian and sea fan. Yeah, he lives there like the clownfish. He maintains the area of his host only. He don't venture out like the surgeon major. Then there's one guy here that lives in rubble. He lives in rubble bed. Okay, his population reflects how much rubble is being created. That means the more dying coral producing more rubbles, the higher the count of these blue devils, we call it. And then we have also the one that commute between three habitats. From the reef, the rubble and the reef, he commutes to the mangrove, he commutes to the seagrass, back and forth, he carry nutrient. Yeah, so he is called the Neopomocentrus, which is, I don't know what the common name is, though, but they commute. You will find them as soon as you get into the water, you're leaving the shore, you're entering the seagrass area, you'll see them there. And you'll see them going towards the reef and going back to the reef. And then if there's mangrove, they also go there and back and forth. So they are carrier. Okay. And then there are also Damselfishes, a type of damsel that lives with one particular coral, and they normally stay on top. We call it the coral canopy. So on top of maybe table coral or branching coral, they stay in one colony. They stay there, and their social structure is they will breed there, they will have a big family, and they never move anywhere else. If the coral die, they disappear. That means they have literally left, probably eaten by predators on the way to find a new place, a new coral. Okay, so habitat engineering, coral protection, yes. We talk about coral grazers. When we talk about coral grazers, people think of, oh, crown of thorns, oh, Drupella snails. There are so many microscopic or macro-sized coral grazers, including some species of nudibranch and parasitic organisms that graze on coral. These guys who live inside the colony and using the colony on the coral canopies and on top of other corals, they stay in one place and they make sure their host is free of those parasitic things. So they provide protection. And this is also a mutualistic symbiosis that goes as well for the clownfish. It takes care of sea anemone, and then the sea anemone takes care of him by protecting him from predators. And he is immune to the sting of the sea anemone. Okay? So, and all in all, they also provide support for the food web, and it also support biodiversity maintenance because they will support invertebrates that live near them, juvenile fishes that live among them. When other fishes that is juvenile, they are about the same size as them. So the juvenile of other fish wants to hang out with someone that is my size, they say. And then so that I blend in. That is the protection it provides to other juvenile fish. And then recruitment. How does coral recruitment happen? If you notice, if you go to a coral reef next time, I want you to just sit and watch these guys, what they do. Some of them are actually eating part of the coral, especially this guy here, the coral farmer here. He likes to grow his farm under the branching coral, okay? And then say the branching coral is long and alive. So he needs a bare space, open space to grow his algae. He will not be able to grow his algae on top of living tissues. So he will eat a little bit of that part. Okay, he will eat a little bit of that part. Let me change color. So he will eat a little bit of the bottom part, and there is where you will see a lot of algae is growing here. Yeah, he makes space for his algae, but he will not disturb the rest of the coral though. His algae will grow underneath the coral colonies, and that is how Stegastes creates its own habitat. Okay, so by doing so, he also open up spaces for new recruitment. Because algae don't grow overnight or within hours, or his algae, not the invasive algae, his algae takes weeks to grow. By that time, there might be larval settlement from other corals, and therefore that space is open up for coral recruitment. Okay, so then we talk about reef connectivity, which is this guy here, the Neopomacentrus, which goes to connect other ecosystems to the coral reef. Okay, so he goes everywhere. We will see. So what does this tell us as reef rehabilitator, for example, or reef researcher? It tells us a lot of things because these guys have constantly telling us something that we need to know about the coral reef. Their behaviors, their presence and absence are a message in the form of coral reef health. Okay? That goes for the resiliency. Okay. And then we are going to talk about them as indicators in the last slide. This presentation maybe have only 4 or 5 slides, okay, but it has a lot of video. You will enjoy seeing video now, okay? So let's see what happened. Ecological partitioning of dam cell. Now we are talking about we are able to map out territories and ecological niches and see how they work in the first place. Yeah. Example, this guy here. Let me highlight. This guy here, he lives in the open water, number 1 here. Open water above the reef. He's a planktivore, he eats plankton. And normally, he's like a dancing curtain above the reef, enticing and luring the bigger fishes to come to the reef, okay? And they are very shiny and colorful, just like a bait, okay? So they plays one role. Let's see how they look like in the first place. There they are, right? There they are. If you look closely, what they are doing, they are eating something in the water. They are planktivores. These are the chromis, we call it, okay? So their dance on top of the open water above the coral reef are the ones that bring in the predatory fishes. Then we have the coral canopy, okay? The coral canopies here, okay? So on top of coral canopy, normally we will see these guys here, the Damsels, okay? The black one is called Trimaculatus or three-spotted Damselus, and the one with a band is called reticulated damsel. They live within a coral colony. Okay, they live in one coral colony, and they use that coral canopy as protection, and their excretion provides nutrient, not only for the other algae, but also for the zooxanthella to thrive in the corals. Yeah, so the absorption of nitrogenous compound from their excretion will be converted into amino acid and other things, or ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that allows the coral to generate its skeleton. Okay, so those are number 2. On number 3 are the stagastes, the farmers, the alga garden. Okay, so when I play this, I want you to look here. Let me pen this one, maybe color it white. I want to look you to look at around here. Yeah, around here. Okay, so I go out to pen, then I go here. That guy there, right? The one with the brown head, the black body. See what he's doing? He is preventing the other grazers, the parrotfish that eats algae, from coming to his farm. He's protecting his farm from the other grazers. Otherwise, they will eat up everything that is planted. Okay? So that's why he's so busy. So next time you go to the coral reef, look for this farmer, and then you will see what he do when a school of parrotfish comes to his little patch. Then we have the specialized one. This guy is called the golden damsel. It has a very hard name to remember. scientific name, maybe Ambliglepidodon aureus or something, okay? But anyway, they look like this. They live around Gorgonian. They live around Gorgonian and sea fan and black corals. That's where they live, okay? And they take care of this. They maintain this host, okay? So, and then we have number 5, the guy who lives in rubble, okay? This guy is here, Pomocentrus, Neopomocentrus, the blue guy here. We call them blue devils sometimes. And then they are the indicators as well. We will come to that shortly, okay? They live around rubble, dead corals, anything that you put in the water next to a coral reef that there's no living thing in it. They will come and inspect, they will come to check it out, okay? So they live in coral rubble. Number 6 is the guy in the sand. That guy there, yeah, where I put my cursor, yeah? This guy here. Sometimes we call him honeyhead. Sometimes people call them white damsel. This guy here, and he will defend his territory aggressively. The place where he is now is actually a coral nursery. It is an organic coral nursery. You don't see any structures. Instead, you see natural rocks with coral growing on it. But this is the patch where him and his colleague over there is patrolling and taking care of things. His job is nutrient cycling. He lives in the sand that is full of bacteria and detritus and everything. He breaks them down. He grabs mouthful of sand sometimes and wash them and spit it out, and then sometimes he excretes some of them, and that is a nutrient cycling process. He lives in the sand. Then we also have the Dactylus that lives in coral that is separated from reef. Any coral colony that is not exactly on top of the reef, but on the side with borders around, normally sand or seagrass, bordering from the main reef, there will be a colony where they concentrate. They live in a family and they live all their life in that one coral. They will never venture out. If that coral dies, they just simply disappear, okay? So this is the Dactylus, and they provide services to the host by taking away parasitic crabs, nudibranch or parasites, and then they also provide circulation. When they swim around these little branches, they inadvertently sweep away any detritus or anything that is sticking on them. So they clean the areas around where they're hiding. So, right. So those are the partitions where all these little fishes go and do something. So how do we learn what they do for what coral is how much we spend time observing them. First, we need to know who's doing what. The farmers, the detritivore, or the recyclers, or the omnivores, or the planktivores, what they do. He feeds on plankton, he will be in the open water. He is an advertising neon light for the predatory fish that is coming to the coral reef to bring more biomass into the reef area. And then this guy here, the surgeon major, he's everywhere. He patrols the upper part of the reef down to the mid-level, up to 18 meters or so. And then he goes around and he feeds on crustaceans, or he even feeds on algae sometimes. So he's herbivore as well as what we call it omnivore. Then the rest of them are providing services to the niches where they live, except for the blue devils. The blue devils is the most important thing because he is the first one who come to the rubble area and conditioning the places around them for recruitment of corals, for example, for new growth, for things like that, okay? So he plays a big indicator. So let's see. Damselfish as indicator of coral reef and trophic cascade recovery. When a coral reef degrades, we will see the opposite. We will see, we will see the population will degrade according to this hierarchy. Okay. First, the planktivore will disappear because it's no longer feasible. And then, because of food scarcity, the surgeon major will disappear. This guy takes longer, but he will also disappear if there's nothing to support the farm anymore. And then the last two normally will remain. Yeah, this guy here will remain the longest because they live in rubble area. They live in the rubble. So what does it tell us? As indication, when we do reef rehabilitation, okay, how do we know that we are actually promoting to the recovery of the coral reef and its trophic cascade? How do we know? Do we plant, we make a table and we plant some coral and the coral is growing on this table? Does that indicate that it's successful? No, it's not. Because it does not bring back, it does not indicate, there's no indication of trophic cascade recovery yet. Obviously, you can grow coral, maybe, but reef, not yet. So that's both not yet. So if you are trying to grow coral and your coral is growing, a 10-year-old boy will maybe can do the same. And that is not the measure of success in coral reef rehabilitation. In coral reef rehabilitation, when you trigger recovery of reef and its trophic cascade, this is when you will say, we are getting somewhere, okay? We are not getting somewhere if we can grow 10, 100, 1,000,000 corals, not yet. Why? Because coral is only part 1/7 of the entire ecosystem, okay? In here, there are marine plants, there are sponges, there are invertebrates, there are fishes, there are the seawater itself as a body, yeah? So all of that I mentioned is part of the ecological drivers that makes this ecosystem complete. If you can grow coral, your accomplishment is 1/7 of that. Not yet even, not even close to coral reef recovery. You can grow coral, yes, not yet. So when you are growing coral, imagine that you are going to build a structure, because coral reef, its importance is its structure, okay? Imagine you are building a complex here, say a shopping complex or business complex, okay? So you are building that. That is what coral propagation means. You are building a structure. Yeah. For this business complex to be successful, it needs a healthy ecosystem. The healthy ecosystem is what the business inside this complex, how well it's running, how many food courts there are, how many people patronize it, how many kind of business in it, all this kind of thing. Then you have an ecosystem. Then you said, oh, I have a coral reef to work on, and it is working because I see improvement in the tropic cascade. How do you know? You know when you see the reverse of this, the reverse of going down here. It will start from this one. Let me show you a picture. This is my coral nursery. It is an organic coral nursery, and it is in the beginning phases of the coral nursery. Who's indicating that this is starting a new tropic cascade? The damsel, the blue one, the one that lives in rubble. He came first and lived in my coral nursery. That means I have triggered, I have put a welcome sign, and they have moved into my organic nursery. So this is the beginning of the tropic cascade. What does it look like a couple of years later, or maybe a year later? Ta-da! Now you have Neopomacentrus. You have Pomacentrus. You have Dacillus. And of course, somewhere in here, there are still those blue devils. Okay? So the indication indicated by the damsel is a measure of how you are improving the tropic cascade that will bring an ecosystem back. Okay? Planting corals like this one's here, or this one's here, planting coral is only 1/7 of the process. Okay? It is just the building the business complex. And the guys here are the entrepreneurs that's coming. This guy's here. That's coming, the entrepreneurs that is going to say, hey, now we are in business, right? Okay, so this is how damselfish is used as indicator of reversal of catastrophic loss of tropic cascade. Okay, so, and then how does it look like after this? And this guy will disappear after this, because why? Because another guy will come. Look, my coral is growing, okay. But the point is, where's the damsel? There's one here, there's one on the other side. And then the coral is growing, and he is the stagistes, he's the farmers. And because he is aggressive, he is protecting his farm right here. No other damsel will come nearby because they get chased away. So then people will say, oh, well, it's not good for your coral, algae. No, in organic reef rehabilitation, algae is important. They are part of nitrification process. They absorb nitrogenous compound, phosphorus, and they also provide more oxygenation and also attract carbon and everything else organically. So we are not brushing away those algae, okay? In organic reef rehabilitation, everything is natural, and the natural processes will sustain the coral reef, okay? And who's doing that? Our ally, which is the damselfish. And he will indicate if our coral nursery is in stress, he will indicate if it's successful, he will indicate everything else. this is how the relationship between damsel and coral is interpreted in the language of coral science. Okay? So if you did not know yet, I think you might want to go online to find out, maybe if you can find any kind of resources. Okay? Well, that's long enough. Any question, guys? So I'm talking about my friends there, the little damsels. I need to go diving soon. They are asking about me already. So any questions? Elias? Yes?
Not so far.
Okay.
Very
So
clear.
now you understand
Interesting.
one fish.
Yeah.
Remember, I tell you there are 9 different fishes, right? So that you need to go and do the ecology training because that
Yeah.
is too long. And next week we will be talking about maybe how coral reef rehabilitation works in terms of blue economy and what does it mean by blue economy. It's not blue carbon, it's blue economy.
Okay.
How does it work for the community, for local people? We will talk about that, maybe.
Same time next week?
Yeah, same time next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. If there's no question, Marilyn, if you have any question, Magu.
Super clear. Thank you so much.
Okay. Where are you now?
None.
You are in Singapore, right, Marilyn?
Yes, I'm at home in Singapore.
Okay. Because I sometimes think you are in France. Are you French? No?
Yes, I am. Absolutely. With such a name.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't hide it.
Okay. So we have 1, 2 French. Elias is French. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Right. I can say thank you and good night to you guys. And I will send you this recording. Maybe you can share with your friends. Yeah. So next week, same time, I will send you link. If you like to, just let me know. Okay.
Okay.
Good night, guys.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you,
Good
Anwar. Bye-bye.
night. Bye-bye, guys.